Hi everyone, I'm Dedan.
And I'm Adya, and we're joining the podcast competition of Champlish 2001.
Okay guys, so our topic today that we will discuss about online learning during this pandemic. Adya, I'll ask you some questions. So the first question is, do you consider yourself as a student that you are ready to face the situation or not?
I think if you ask me whether or not I'm ready, honestly, I wasn't ready at all. And I think nobody was ready to face the situation, right? Because this corona literally spread super fast. And then all of us have to adapt, in such a rush way. So I think that I wasn't ready, but did I get through it? I think I did, because it's already 1 year passed by. I learned at home, and 2 semesters I did it. So I think, yeah, I survived.
Wow, you're amazing. So I mean, like the very first time, like you wasn't ready, but finally you already adapt with the situation. Like, wow, you're so amazing. So I also like to know, like, what kind of problems that the student faced in this online learning.
Well, I think there are several main problems that majority of us as students face during this online learning, right? The first one, of course, is about internet connection, right? Not all of us has the stable internet connection. Me personally, at home, I don't have a stable internet connection, especially when the weather is not good. My internet connection will be unstable, and of course, there are several times that I have to miss class for that. So I think that's such a disadvantage for me. The next one is about the proper gadget to have online learning, right? Because to have online learning, of course, you need to have, for example, laptop or smartphone to do the online learning. And I think that not all of us have the privilege to have those facilities. So I think that's two. The next one is about the cost of online learning. Why is it the cost? Because to buy internet data, of course, you gotta spend some money for that. And I think that because of the pandemic, most of us are affected hugely in economic aspect. And I think to spend some more money to have proper online learning, to buy data for that, I think that's also some disadvantage. The next one is about the different style of learning. Different students will have different style of learning. Some students will is more into a kinetic type of students, and then some students more into audiovisual type of students. And I think that there are several students who need to see their teacher in face, to understand better, to have a better understanding on the lesson. Last but not least, and I think this is one of the main biggest problem, is distraction if you do the online learning at home. Because the situation at home compared to if I learn in class, right? If I learn in class, all I have to focus on is my teacher and then the whole learning atmosphere. But at home, I don't have that, right? Because sometimes, let me take myself as an example. During the lesson, during my online class, sometimes I heard my niece running around the house, playing with their friends, and then it distracts my focus on the learning process. Next one is when for example, my neighbor is having renovation on their home, and then the hammer sound, or for example, my neighbor is having wedding party, the sound system that have a blast, it will literally distract your focus on the learning process, and it distract me from absorbing the lesson up to the fullest, and it becomes such a disadvantage for me.
Yeah, me too. Like I feel it. Like I got many distractions when I was, learning in my home. Like, oh my God, it's very noisy. I think that house is not a good place to, to learning, right?
Because I don't think that all parents or all family members understand that we are having the online class, or maybe they just don't get it, and the distraction happen all the time. So I think that's disadvantage for us.
So the next question, in your opinion, what kind of skills that student must have?
I think during this pandemic, there are two main skills that we must have as a student. The first one is the willing to learn. Because as I said before, I was struggling with the whole situation of, you know, unstable internet connection, or the case of, you know, distraction at home. But then I still have the willing to learn, right? It means that whether despite all of the distraction, I can still have a proper learning by working harder than others. For example, compared to those who have the better facilities, who has the privilege. But then, even if you have all the privileges to do the online learning, but if you don't have the willing to learn, then you will still learn nothing. It will be pointless. So I think that's one. And then the next one is about adaptability, right? Life is all about changes, right? So despite, beside online learning, beside this pandemic, I think that changes will always happen to us. Changes will always happen to us as individual being, right? As a member of society. And I think that being able to adapt well is a skill that we must master. It's a skill that we must have in order to survive in life. And I think that these two skills are two main skills that, you know, we need to have during this pandemic.
Yeah, I do agree with you. So the last question is like, in your opinion, like what kind of online learning that you want?
Well, rather than saying what kind of online learning that I want, I think it's better to say what kind of style of learning or what kind of method of learning that I want to have. Because not all of us can have a proper online learning, I must say. And I think that for different areas in Indonesia, it might be better to use online learning as a base for all the learning process. But then for the several area that requires, you know, different needs, different situation, it will be better for them. For example, if they have unstable internet connection or facing problem like some students don't have a proper gadget, maybe the school can have regulation to have a face-to-face learning process, as the Minister of Education already regulate the new regulation about last year, I think, right? So last year the Minister of Education already regulated the regulation to have a face-to-face learning for several areas in Indonesia that don't have a proper, or that don't have the privilege to have a proper online learning situation. So I think that is one of the best solutions that we can, you know, give for all of us, so that this learning process can still happen despite all of this pandemic situation that happen right now.
So the point is like, if you want to implement the education in this pandemic, like it's depending on the era, right? Wow, I do agree with you. So yeah, that's it. So maybe the conclusion of our discussion today is, the first thing is like we cannot run away from the situation. Like there is no way, like there is no choices, like we like it or not, ready or not, like we have to face it, right? And then the next is about, I'm really interested about the word that you mentioned earlier about adaptability, because I think that adaptability is a matter. I mean, like it's really matter as a human being, because it's not only for this pandemic situation, but you know, like we never know like what will happen in the future, like what will, you know, like single condition is going to be in the future. So we have to, you know, like have this skill.
And please don't forget about to be able to, you know, to have a proper education. I think we also need to have a cooperation between all elements, right? Including teacher, including students, including the parents, including the government, to have, so that all of this learning situation will still happen.
Okay, so yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching our podcast today, and hope you enjoyed. And then see you in the next podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.